Right now, water is pooling under your eyelids. A lump forms in your throat. Your chest tightens as a heavy wave of emotion crashes through your entire body. Why are you leaking fluids from your face? It seems completely absurd when you stop to think about it. You are experiencing psychological pain, yet your body responds by blurring your vision and making you physically vulnerable to any nearby threat. For centuries, the greatest thinkers have looked at this bizarre human behavior and wondered if it serves any actual survival purpose. Charles Darwin famously declared in 1872 that emotional crying is completely purposeless. He believed it was just an accidental side effect of the way the muscles around your eyes contract when you suffer. Was the father of evolution completely wrong about your tears? The real answer is far stranger. Your tears are not a broken mechanism or a random biological accident. They are actually a highly sophisticated piece of evolutionary technology designed to keep you alive. Think about your daily life. You spill a hot drink on your laptop. You lose a job you desperately needed. You say goodbye to someone you love deeply at an airport gate. In every other animal on Earth, intense pain triggers a rapid fight or flight response. A tiger growls fiercely when it is hurt. A deer runs away into the deep brush. But you sit perfectly still, trembling, as saltwater drops run down your cheeks. Why did evolution preserve a trait that leaves you temporarily blinded and physically incapacitated during a major crisis? To understand this mystery, you have to look closely at the chemical makeup of what is coming out of your eyes. Your brain actually produces 3 completely distinct types of tears. Basal tears keep your eyes lubricated every single second of the day. Reflex tears flash into existence when you chop a white onion or get caught in a sudden gust of dust. But emotional tears are completely different under a microscope. In the late 20th century, a biochemist named Dr. William Frey conducted a groundbreaking study to analyze the exact contents of human tears. He forced participants to watch sad movies and collected their emotional tears in tiny glass tubes. Then, he compared them to reflex tears triggered by raw onions. The results shocked the scientific community. Emotional tears are not just water and salt. They contain significantly higher concentrations of protein, manganese, and specific stress hormones. Specifically, Dr. Frey found high levels of adrenocorticotropic hormone, also known as ACTH. This is the exact chemical your brain releases when it is under extreme psychological pressure. Your emotional tears also contain leucine and enkephalin, which is a natural endorphin that reduces physical pain. When you cry, your body is literally dumping toxic stress chemicals out of your system. You are not just expressing sadness to the world, you are physically detoxifying your brain. Have you ever noticed how incredibly exhausted you feel after a massive crying session? That is your nervous system shifting from a state of high alert back into a state of rest. Your brain is forcing you to calm down. Let us consider the structural biology of this process. Your brain contains a small, almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. This is your emotional alarm system. When it detects a severe psychological threat, it sends an urgent neural signal directly to your hypothalamus. The hypothalamus then activates the autonomic nervous system, which coordinates the physical response. Why does this path lead directly to your lacrimal glands? The connection is deeply hardwired into your cranial nerves. Specifically, the 7th cranial nerve, also known as the facial nerve, carries the parasympathetic fibers that stimulate tear production. When the emotional pressure inside your mind builds to a critical mass, this neural pathway fires automatically. You cannot consciously stop it. It overrides your logical prefrontal cortex entirely. Have you ever tried to fight back a wave of tears using pure willpower? It feels like trying to stop an avalanche with an open palm. Your body simply takes control, but the chemical cleansing is only half of the evolutionary puzzle. The truly magical part of crying happens outside of your body. Imagine you are a primitive human living 50,000 years ago on the African savanna. You are hunting in the tall grass with your small tribe. Suddenly, a predator attacks and kills your closest companion. You are overwhelmed with fear and grief. If you scream out in agony, you will instantly alert every single predator in the area to your exact location. Noise is dangerous. How do you tell your tribe that you need help without making a single sound? You leak water from your eyes. The tears glistening on your face reflect the ambient light. They create a highly visible visual signal that can be seen from several yards away. More importantly, tears are completely impossible to fake. Dr. Advinger Hotz, a leading psychologist who spent decades studying the science of crying, discovered something fascinating about human perception. He showed volunteers photos of human faces experiencing intense emotions. Some photos showed faces with tears, while others had the tears digitally removed. When the tears were removed, volunteers often misidentified the emotion as anger, fear, or boredom. But the moment tears were added back to the face, the response was universal: Every single viewer instantly recognized helplessness and a strong need for social support. Tears act as a biological white flag. They signal to everyone around you that your defenses are completely down. This creates a powerful evolutionary advantage for your tribe. When your ancestors saw tears, it triggered an immediate surge of empathy and protective instincts. It brought the community closer together during times of extreme danger or loss. The individuals who could signal their vulnerability through silent tears received more protection and support from their group. They survived at higher rates. Furthermore, consider how this affects the people around you on a neurological level. When someone looks at your tear-stained face, their brain undergoes an immediate shift. Neuroimaging studies show that seeing human tears deactivates the regions of the brain associated with aggression. In men, the scent of emotional tears has been shown to significantly reduce testosterone levels and lower competitive drive. Your tears are a physical weapon of peace. They neutralize hostility in your environment before it can escalate into physical violence. This is why vulnerability is actually a masterclass in survival strategy. Therefore, your tears are a deeply hardwired social glue. They allow humans to connect on a level that words can never replicate. But there is a dark side to this evolutionary design. Because tears are meant to signal helplessness, they only work if you are surrounded by people who care about your survival. What happens when your brain triggers tears in a hostile environment? Your ancient evolutionary programming does not understand the modern world. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a dangerous predator on the savannah and a cruel boss standing over your desk at work. It only registers a high state of emotional stress. So, it triggers the tear ducts. In a modern corporate office, crying is often viewed as a sign of weakness or unprofessionalism. You try desperately to swallow the lump in your throat. You blink rapidly, hoping to dry your eyes before anyone notices. You feel deeply embarrassed. Why does your body betray you in the exact moments you need to appear strong and competent? It is because evolution moves at a glacial pace compared to human culture. Your brain is still operating on a primitive survival blueprint that was perfected hundreds of thousands of years ago. On the ancient savannah, showing vulnerability was a brilliant strategy to secure group protection. In a modern boardroom, it can feel like social suicide. This mismatch explains why you often feel so conflicted about your own emotions. You live in a fast-paced digital society, but you are trapped inside a physical body designed for a prehistoric tribal world. Think about the last time you cried completely alone in your room. If tears are meant to be a social signal for others, why do you still shed them when no one else is around to see? Psychologists believe that solitary crying is a form of self-signaling. Your brain is using your own physical body to communicate with your conscious mind. When you see or feel your own tears, it forces you to acknowledge that a situation has broken past your psychological defenses. It is a mandatory pause button. It forces you to accept reality so that the healing process can finally begin. Furthermore, the physical act of crying triggers the release of oxytocin into your bloodstream. This is the exact same hormone responsible for human bonding and feelings of security. When you cry alone, your body is essentially hugging itself from the inside out. It is comforting you when no one else can. Let us take a deeper look at how this impacts your relationships today. When you see a partner or a friend cry, your brain mirror neurons fire instantly. You physically feel a microdose of their pain inside your own nervous system. This is why it is almost impossible to ignore someone who is weeping in front of you. It bypasses our logical thinking brain and strikes directly at our primal instinct to nurture and protect. We live in a world that constantly tells us to be resilient, tough, and completely independent. We swipe through curated feeds of perfectly happy lives and hide our moments of despair behind closed doors. We treat emotional tears like an embarrassing system error that needs to be patched out with a software update. But science shows that doing this is deeply harmful to your health. When you suppress your tears, those toxic stress hormones do not just magically disappear. They stay trapped inside your body, raising your blood pressure, disrupting your sleep, and weakening your immune system over time. Chronically holding back your tears is like keeping a pressure cooker sealed while the fire is cranked up to high. Eventually, something inside your mind or body is going to snap. So, look at your reflection the next time you feel a wave of sadness washing over you. Do not view your wet cheeks as a design flaw or a moment of pathetic weakness. Do not wish that you could turn off the mechanism completely. Without this incredible evolutionary glitch, our species would have likely destroyed itself long ago. We would have lacked the visual language required to build deep trust, empathy, and community. Your tears are a beautiful reminder of your deep connection to the ancient past. Tonight, when you feel overwhelmed by the complexities of the modern world, remember the secret purpose of your anatomy. Allow the fluids to pool under your eyelids. Let the heavy wave of emotion crash completely through your body. You are not broken. You are just beautifully human, using a prehistoric superpower to survive another day.